What's up, fam? I'm Ryan Milton from Team Flex. You're on my show, Protein Power, where every single Monday I come right here to talk about everything nutrition. We cover all different types of goals, everything regarding how to get you from where you're at to where you want to be with your nutrition. Today, I want to dive in and talk about my top 3 tips for staying on track with nutrition. This is massive. It's one of the biggest questions I've ever got in my game as a coach. And honestly, it's one that pretty much anybody watching this video has probably struggled with at some point or another, right? Whether you're on a muscle building diet where you got to eat a lot of food, a lot of calories. Hey, that can be hard. I know it sounds ridiculous when you say it if you're somebody who's dieting or something like that. But it definitely can be hard to actually eat enough food at some point when you're on a muscle building diet and you're actually trying to make these gains, right? Same turn of the coin though is going to go for people that are actually dieting. So you're trying to lose weight, or maybe you're doing a contest prep, or just trying to tone your body fat up or something like that, right? Well, basically what comes up is the fact that that can be actually really hard to stay on a caloric restriction, right? You got to stay with your calories lower. It can be difficult to do. And it's probably one of the biggest top questions I've ever got as a coach was, hey, what are your tips? What can I do? How can I do it better? Even though people want to ask me in 1,000 ways, I can really narrow this down to almost 3 answers, and that's what I'm going to give you guys today, all right? So the very first one I want to talk about and dive into is actually tracking your macros, all right? So I want to make sure that you understand what macro tracking is first, and we'll kind of keep talking about this and get you guys some solid information that's going to help you actually be able to stay better on track with your nutrition. Macros are your proteins, your carbs, and your fats, okay? These are what we call our macronutrients. This is what all food is made up of in the sense of macros. There's also micros. We're not talking about that in this video right now, but tracking your macros is what I suggest for people that are having a hard time staying on their diet. And you might say, well, why? Why would I want to sit there and track out every meal I eat and do all these things? Well, the truth is, if you're not tracking, then it's very, very hard to actually attain what you're trying to attain, okay? So if you're someone trying to build muscle, to know that you're getting enough protein, enough carbs, and enough fats, enough calories overall to actually build muscle, it's very important. And if you're someone trying to burn body fat, well, guess what? Same story. We know that you got to have a certain amount of calories, a certain amount of protein, a certain amount of carbs, and a certain amount of fats to be able to actually burn body fat. So if you're just going to take a shot in the dark, you might as well put a blindfold on and throw darts at a wall and see if you hit a bullseye, because that's pretty much the only way you're going to get results without tracking, okay? And actually, tracking can dramatically help you stay on track in the first place, because guess what happens? You become aware of what you're eating, all right? And so you guys don't overcomplicate it. Don't think you need to get a piece of paper and a pen and track, although some people do prefer it. You can literally get yourself a tracking app, and this is what I suggest everybody does. This is what we do on Team Flex, okay? I bring clients on, we bring clients on with other coaches, and we say, you know what? Boom, we're putting you on macros. Whatever your goals are, we give you macros. And we tell you proteins, carbs, and your fats that we want you to eat for your goals. Your job is to go track it. And anybody out there watching can start doing this process, coach or not. You can do this right now. Go get yourself a tracking app. Find your favorite one in the App Store. I like MyFitnessPal, and there's no affiliation there. I don't get a percentage of anything if you download it. It's free. You can do a free version of that app. It's just the one I suggest because it's the one I use personally. It's the one I've always used, and that's the one I've always told, okay? That's what I've always told people to use, just because I know myself that it's good. But there's many out there that you could use. There's going to be different ones for different people, ones you like better. Find one that works for you. But that's not exactly the end of the story when it comes to tracking macros. I'll tell you more just after this.
1, 2, 3!
so we know what macros are. We know a little bit about tracking. I'm telling you guys, if you want to figure this stuff out, you want to do better with your nutrition, first measure is to track it, okay? It's as simple as getting yourself a tracking app. I know people want to say right out the gate, it takes too much time, it's too much work. No, it's not. You know what's too much time, too much work? Spinning your damn wheels, running in a hamster wheel trying to get results, okay? It's quick, it's easy, it's simple if you get yourself a tracking app. So if you're still watching this video now and you don't have a tracking app on your phone, you really need to do that, all right? So get yourself one and just start playing around with it, you guys. It's, you know, anything you eat that has a barcode, you can scan it, literally using your phone. Beep, it'll put your exact macros that you just ate or you're gonna eat in there for you. And same goes, even if you don't have a food that you can scan, you can just type it in. It takes seconds, you guys. I'm serious. Like literally, you could plan your entire day's food in probably 2-3 minutes. I'm not even kidding. It is really not that difficult, especially once you learn the interface of whatever app you use and you get in the groove, okay? And so the key here is to make sure you know you gotta have your specific macros. And there's no generic plan for that. You can't just Google it, you can't find it. If you do, there's 1,000 calculators that give you 1,000 different results. I strongly suggest that first thing you guys wanna figure out is just start tracking, all right? Just start tracking. If you're someone just trying to get the wheels moving, start figuring out how to be more consistent with your nutrition, start tracking. Just track your food 3, 4, 5 days, see where you're at, see what things look like. See, oh, maybe, well, this looks like every day my protein is really a lot lower than my carbs and my fats. Maybe that's why I'm not hitting my goals, whatever, right? What you do when you start tracking is you start to actually learn a little bit more about what you're actually doing versus what you need to be doing, okay? And so that's the really big factor that's gonna really help you start getting your feet on the ground. The next biggest thing I wanna tell you all to do, if you're having a hard time staying on track with your nutrition, the second biggest thing I'd have to say is you should be flexible dieting, all right? And so flexible dieting involves macro tracking, but it's not specifically macro tracking, right? You could track your proteins, your carbs, and your fats, but only do it by eating chicken breast, broccoli, asparagus, brown rice, you know, this kind of clean foods that people always want to talk about that supposedly are full of magical fairies that get you better results. The truth is, there is no magic foods, ladies and gents, and what I always say is if you're gonna go try to do a magic food diet where you stick to this clean eating, you stick to tilapia and asparagus 6 times a day because you're trying to get lean or, you know, all this other stuff, well, you're setting yourself up for fail, right? You're gonna fail that diet no matter what because there's like 5 people in the world that can sustain eating that over a long period of time. You guys, I always quote it, 95% of diets fail when they look at people in the long term of time, and that's true, they do. People always gain their weight back, they always, you know, don't stay to the diet basically. That's a failure, that's what it is. You don't stick to the diet, you failed the diet. That's really what it comes down to, right? 95% of people will be in that group, okay? And that's because most diets are unsustainable from the start, and that's kind of what happens. So I say track your macros and flexible diet. Now, flexible dieting means you choose your foods. It means I don't pick your foods as your coach. We don't do this on Team Flex, right? We don't pick people's foods for them. I never say, hey, I want you to eat, you know, 6 ounces of chicken for lunch. I want you to have 2 ounces of brown rice or potatoes with your asparagus and your ground turkey for. I don't do that. I don't do that shit. I've never done it. I think it's bullshit. I think it won't help you. I don't think it's doing anything good for you. And I know a lot of coaches want to do it as a cop-out, an easy way to actually, you know, just pump out generic meal plans or just say, hey, do this. I gave this to 8,000 of my other clients over the years. It worked. It'll probably work for you. Cheers. Give me your money. No, that's not how I do things, okay? I want to teach people. And what I know is people will do better when they actually can eat the things they want and they actually understand how to fit it in their goals. So flexible dieting allows you to do that. It means that you're able to actually diet and eat what you want and pick your own foods. And we do this on Team Flex with competitors. We do this with weight loss clients, people just looking for general fat loss, people trying to build muscle. I've done this with every type of person that you can imagine over the years of my career, and all I've seen is great success, you guys. And I talk about it a lot on this channel, a lot on Protein Power, so if you watch all the time, you're probably like, damn, he's hitting me with the flexible diet hammer again. I am, because it is the key to actual long-term sustainable nutrition, okay? And that's what you should be aiming to do. I know everybody thinks when you go on a diet, it has to be hardcore. You gotta be hardcore. You gotta do it hardcore. No, you don't. You know what you're gonna have the best results doing? Something that's not hardcore. Something that's easy to maintain, that's gonna actually be something you can do every day, right? Typical diet culture has you think that be restrictive, be hardcore for these days, and then you fell off for the rest of the week. You know, everybody knows if you've ever done hardcore, you know, clean eating, cutting diet, fat loss diet, this chicken and brown rice and asparagus asparagus, tilapia diet, well, it's very rare that you sustain it for any length of time. And most of the time, it leads to people having eating disorder type problems where they're eating really restrictive for 3, 4, 5 days a week, and then they eat 50,000 calories in one night on Saturday night when they binged out, right? And that goes forward, and that's a whole other topic, and I don't want to talk too much about that in this video, but it does happen. So I say, you know what? Flexible diet. Pick your own foods. Figure out what you like. Figure out how to fit to your goals. And that's going to be super critical and key to you actually getting results, all right? I got a lot more to say, and I'm going to dive right in right here after this. We're back, fam. I want to make sure if you guys didn't subscribe yet, you're crazy. Free information like this all week for you guys. 5 shows I run every week, new content, stuff to help you get better. This is stuff I could be charging tons and tons of money for. I'm giving to you guys for free right here on Team Flex TV, all right? So subscribe to this channel, please. And if you think that this video will help any of your friends, your followers, anybody out there, please share it. Helps me so much, you guys. I do this for free. I want to keep doing this for free. I do this for you to help you guys get better. You can help me out by subscribing and sharing, all right? Let's dive into our next tip. We covered first how to track. We talked about tracking your macros, what's important about that and why that's a really good way to stay on track with your nutrition right at the gate, okay? And then we talked a little bit more about flexible dieting and why I think flexible dieting is far better for you than this clean eating, whatever garbage stuff, even if you're tracking your macros. Now, the third tip that I want to give you guys is one that I think becomes really, really critical if you're one of these people that have a routine problem of not being able to stay on your diet. And that is actually planning your meals and your food out in advance, okay? And I got a secondary tip that kind of ropes in with this, and we'll talk more about that. And I don't mean in advance like plan out a whole week's of meals. I've never been a huge advocate of that. I mean, there's certain busy people that I've coached over the years that are like so busy they're just on the fly, on the go, that they can't even like decide for, you know, a variance in foods. But even then, I'm telling them to do the 80-20 rule where I'm saying, you know what, whatever, plan out most of your day, have a little bit of flexibility in there though. You know, and some people do like to do the same meals all week. I'm not a huge fan of that, okay? What I often say is to flexible diet, right? We already talked about that. But if you're going to plan out in advance, it's because you need to learn better how to fit your macros, basically, right? So if we're talking about deducting from protein, carbs, and fat goals to meet a goal, to actually get a goal, right? Fat loss, muscle building, whatever your goal is, well, we got to be hitting those things consistently. And as you learn macros, you might be a newbie, somebody starting out, or maybe it's just a new, you know, goal phase where you weren't used to those type of numbers. Well, you got to actually learn what fits in there and what foods you want to have and how you can make them work and all that. And again, the food choices you choose, all right? If you do flexible dieting, like I said, you get to choose those food choices, so you can have whatever you want. But fitting it to your goals, that becomes a different thing. So some people like to do it on the fly. They go through their day, you know, they're just like, you know what, this sounds good. I'm going to have that, boom, put it in. That's great. Works awesome. But if you're having a hard time staying consistent with your nutrition, plan it out in advance. So sit down the night before and basically plan your next day. I don't suggest a week. I don't suggest a month. I say the day, okay? Plan it out the day before. Sit down and be like, you know what? It's 8 p.m. tonight. What sounds good for breakfast tomorrow? And then what could I have for dinner if I had that breakfast? Maybe lunch here. What about some snacks? Punch it all in and go through your day. It's a lot easier to get that momentum. And it doesn't mean you have to stay to that. You can change it. Maybe something comes up. Maybe you change your mind in the morning. But at least you had the groundwork laid, right? You had this plan and this approach for what you were going to do. And I think that's super key and critical to plan it out in advance. The secondary tip I want to put with this is don't get hungry. For those of you out there that are dieting, don't get hungry. This becomes important, all right? All you out there that are building, bulking, trying to get bigger, I mean, you guys are getting hungry, a lot of you out there, you girls are getting hungry out there, but this is not necessarily as much a problem for you. But for people on a dieting phase, you want to make sure that you don't get hungry. And the reason I say this is because when you get hungry, you start to lose your edge mentally, right? Your discipline starts to fade a little bit. You know, all the bad foods that you can't fit in your macros because you already planned your macros or you already ate some of your macros become more and more exciting, and you want them, and then, you know, that leads to people falling off. So that does happen. One way to avoid that is don't get hungry. And basically the way you don't get hungry, and how this kind of ties in with tip number 3 of planning in advance, is to make sure that you're spacing your meals out well, okay? And this becomes critical. Do it the night before. Space your meals out well. The way I've always said it, 5 meals a day. And I'm not talking about, you know, massive bowls of pasta and all this. I'm talking about basically, for lack of a better term, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and 2 snacks. And that's really what you should eat. This is what I suggest for most people. Again, people doing a gaining phase or something, I might have them eat more. Maybe somebody in a real deep dieting phase might have them do more. But basically what I'm going to have people do is really break it down to 5 meals. Anyone watching this, you're going to be good with 5 meals. And how you do it, you know, breakfast, lunch, dinner, 2 snacks. Easy. Space it out every 2-3 hours so that you don't get into a spot where you get ravenously hungry and you start losing the edge and you start making these poor decisions, and then all of a sudden, you know, you had a off day with your diet. And this happens a lot. You guys, I know it does. I tell my clients this, and they'll still mess this up from time to time. That's life. That's what comes up. But planning in advance can be very, very, very helpful to actually making sure you can sustain. So again, the way you do it, you sit down the night before, plan out your meal times, make sure it's going to fit your schedule, your daily life, and then plan out your meals if you really need to, if you're having a hard time staying on track. And I'm going to go ahead and give you guys just one more little bit of something that you should really think about and understand if you're having a hard time with your nutrition after this. Alright guys, if you made it this far and you still need some help, you want to learn more about your nutrition, your training, whatever, check out my free coaching trial. You keep seeing these little ad things popping up. I'm trying to show you what it is, but you can come do it yourself at teamfflex.com, and I hope you do. It's another way we give back on Team Flex, is we allow people to do our actual coaching for free for 7 days so they can learn something, they can do something, they can take it somewhere and do better with it, and that's what we want to do. So I hope you guys do check that out. To wrap this video up, what I really want to address is kind of a whole overview of what we talked about, right? When we talk about staying to a diet, the things we want to really do is make sure we make the diet as easy as possible to stay to. The goal of any good diet, no matter what it is, cutting or building, fat loss or gaining, whatever it is you're trying to do out there, all different types of goals. And every single one of you, by the way, no matter what phase you're in now, you'll probably go through the other one eventually. But basically, what we're trying to do is simplify these diets and make it as easy as possible. Because what happens is, when it becomes too complicated, that adds more variables, more steps, more things that can make you actually fall off, right? And anyone who's ever done a diet, I mean, I doubt you're watching the video for 3 tips on how to do better with dieting if you're actually one of the people that have been able to eat chicken and asparagus, 8 times a day for the last 20 years. Those people don't exist very rarely, you guys, and they're kind of a little loopy if they do. The best thing that you can do is find an environment that facilitates, it's not a diet, meaning it's not something that's short term, it's something you're going to learn that's a lifestyle that you can live long term. And that's why I've always been an advocate of everything I just told you guys. Understand what proteins, carbs, and fats are. Those are your macros. Know what those are. Know how they work. And then do flexible dieting so you can get your favorite foods in, but you can also learn what foods are good for your goals. They work for your body. Everybody's different. This is important to remember. Every single person is different, right? And then guess what? You can even take it to another level of planning and understanding your nutrition and everything else, and plan in advance if you need to stay better on track. But that's the most simple simplified way that you could ever approach any nutritional goal and get great results. And I guarantee you guys, if you take one bit of this video today, you just take one of these 3 tips, you're gonna do far better with your nutrition than you've been doing, like a lot better. Overnight change if you adopt any one of these 3 tips right now. If you do all 3, you're gonna be doing the best with your nutrition you've ever done in your entire life. And everybody always wonders, how do you guys get such crazy transformations? How are you doing all this on Team Flex? There's no way that was only a 3-month, 6-month, whatever. That looks like it was 5, 6 years of a transformation. I hear this every day. And that's because we can do this. We put people on this type of diet where it becomes fun, it becomes sustainable, it becomes maintainable, it becomes something that is not miserable, not, something that you hate every day of your life. It's a fun process to learn more about yourself, learn more about the foods you want, and enjoy the actual process of whatever goal you got. Because at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy it, it's never gonna last. Any diet that you set out on, if you don't like it, you don't like the parameters, you don't like the foods, you don't like the calories, you don't like any of that, it's doomed. You won't make it, ladies and gents. So again, I hope you got something out of here. I hope that kind of wraps up that idea, that thought for you. Take any one of these tips, it's going to change the game for you. Take all 3, and I guarantee you I'm going to be seeing you somewhere and be like, what the heck? How did you do that? And I'll be like, oh yeah, you watched that 3-tip video, all right? So you guys, again, I hope that you liked it. Please subscribe, share the video out if you got anything out of it. And again, if anybody needs help with coaching, you know where to find us, teamfflex.com. We got a free trial. We got programs. We got everything you need to get you where you want to be as fast as possible. Head to the website and check it out. Thanks for watching Protein Power. I'm Ryan Milton from Team Flex. Be back tomorrow for the Iron Palace. Coach Rye is out.